and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower classes, social slime, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. Caesar shit, force of air. Fuck them back, it's only for they bomb. They shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids, no one makes countries. Lie to your face, fight and die, 'cause God forgives. Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower classes, social side, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. See their shit, force of bear. Fuck them back, that's only fair. They bomb, they shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids, no one makes countries. Lie to your face, fight and die, 'cause God forgives. Yeah. Coming back around again.
Where the hell is Paul Noble? Where'd they go? Why ain't I hearing nothing? Why am I not hearing anything? What the hell's going on? No, I have it turned up. Okay, let's see who we can get in here. Up with all these people. Anyways, welcome to the show. I'm your host, Ron Stevens. This is Rock the Boat right here on UCY.TV, the best little network on the internet. And my guest today is Michael Schmidt.
Hello.
Hello, Michael. How are you?
I'm good.
That's good. I'm just looking for, okay, here's Ira. And what happened to Paul? Anyways, I got you on the air here, and I don't even know where to start with you. Just a little quick background, I guess. You've been in the farming business, in the raw milk business for what, 25 years? Am I close?
Who says that? Whom are you asking?
I'm asking you.
Oh, you're asking me. Well, I never have been in the raw milk business. I always have been in the activity to provide people with nutritious food, independent of business. I don't call that business. I call that a moral obligation to provide people with the food they need. And that is what I set out when I became a farmer in 1972. And I stuck to it right till today. My responsibility is to provide nutritious food for people who need the food, and not food as a commodity, but food as a healing substance and a nourishing substance for people.
Yeah, and so you've been doing the I mean, what I wish is everybody could go visit your farm. That's what I wish. And your farm, from what I see, is really no different than my uncle's and grandparents' farm. It really isn't. They ran.
In respect to the diversity, how diverse the farm is in itself as an organism. Is that right?
Yeah, their cattle were grass fed. Their chickens were free range. Their hogs were free range. They didn't use pesticides or herbicides in the fields. They didn't shoot their animals up with stuff, and they would leave a field fallow, right, to heal itself and regrow and then. So when I go to your farm, it just reminds me of my uncle and my grandparents' farm, which was when I was growing up was a normal farm. And
right.
Everybody was extraordinarily healthy. Nobody was going to doctors. Nobody was taking pills. They got all of their health from the farm. But things changed, right?
Yeah, and I think, like I said before, one of the main things which changed here is that food suddenly became a commodity. Or not suddenly, but over time, food became a commodity. And then, what kind of evolved out of the pioneering times, that the farm was a way how to secure food, went beyond that, and food became a sellable item, and then a marketing item, and then it became a commodity and not anymore. The focus was not really on nourishment anymore, but just as a sellable item. And this is where I think everywhere in society, when we make the switch to, and I could call it greed, when greed kicks in, quality goes down, and then we're not anymore doing what we're supposed to do to care actually for each other.
That's the problem. It used to be food, and now it's like selling cars or anything else. It's a commodity, and you're looking for profit margins, not so much quality, and it's destroyed our food system. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, but instead of them thanking you for going back to the way food should be produced, they would just as soon you went away and didn't come back. Am I on? I mean, they don't want you in business, or not in business, but they don't want you producing food.
Well, what is interesting in this whole proceeding in the last 23 years is that there was basically no normal, or kind of investigative procedure. It was all punishment. I mean, charges laid in order to punish, but not to really look into what these different acts provide as, let's say, enforcement procedures. That means they come to the farm, they look at it, and then we start discussing if we are, according to them, within the law or not. It was always, prosecution as punishment, and not as something to explore in the courts if it is right or if it is wrong. It was just punishment. And it is so focused on me in respect to all of that, it becomes really, I mean, they're talking about carding, in Toronto, that, Black people are the killers in society. And here, they're carding me in regard to, the efforts of trying to find a way that people can actually obtain food they own and they're part of, and what is good for them, based on their experience. It's kind of put down as anecdotal when people say they get better when they drink raw milk. They say scientifically it's just an anecdotal evidence, but has no weight really in the courts. And then I started laughing and I said, well, are you kidding me? When 150 people say they get better from milk, they don't get sick, they get better from milk, and they call it anecdotal, that is rather abusive.
Well, they're not even one, they're not making any sense. I mean, when they come in to your farm or anybody else's farm and tell you that what you're producing, you can't produce it, that you have to follow their rules and regulations. And I mean, they talk about the science. The science is so bad. The science is there to protect the corporations, basically. It's not based on any reality.
That's right. Ron, can I just interrupt you? I need to get 30 minutes off. We'll be right back then, okay?
Okay, you have someone at the farm there, so...
Right, I need to deal with, and we'll phone me in about 30 minutes, okay?
I'll just drag you back in the show. How's that?
Yeah, super. Great.
Okay. Okay, my apologies for that. Michael has... he has a thing going on. They're trying to put an injunction against him in Newmarket on the 29th and the 30th, so that they can't move the milk anymore. And he's had somebody just show up at the farm that has to discuss some of that. So he needs about a half an hour. Have I got you, Ira?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but just before we were going to go on air, Michael got a call, and it has to do with this thing in Newmarket, the injunction, and he has to deal with it. And I don't know what happened to Paul here. I am really, I was talking to them this morning, and for some oddball reason, their Skype seems to have disappeared here. I have no idea why that is. But anyways, it doesn't matter. We'll get that figured out. I'm going to try and drag her in on the phone, I guess. But anyways, are you going to go, my question, I guess, is, are you going to go to Newmarket?
Yes, I will be there.
The 30th?
Yes, I will be there on 29th, and I will be there on the 30th. I've gone to the court hearings before, and it's really sad. You know, it's really sad to watch the whole procedure. When you listen to them, it's like it's not about fairness or justice. It's about cornering him, just cornering him and not letting him to have a way out and to continue doing what he wants to do. And all the arguments are some evidence from, I don't know, the beginning of 20th century. And they don't really have any solid arguments that can counteract his evidence. They just, they're in denial. They refuse to look at it. They don't want to hear it. Even our petitions to the Ministry of Health, to the MPs, you receive a very standard reply with the same quote. It feels like it's a computer who is replying. It feels like they don't even read our petitions. They just send it off. They just want to get rid of all of us. They want to punish Michael because he dared to stand up against the system. And it's the corporation, the corporate body, 100% backed up by the government, protecting their financial interests. I don't see any other reason why this would be happening, because he's the threat. He's the threat to their profits.
Well, he's not really a threat to anybody, but their concern is that,
in their view.
There's a whole slew of farmers out there that would like to get out of the milk marketing board. There's a whole bunch of farmers, small farmers, who are producing milk for themselves and their close friends and that. Michael himself, for what he produces, is hardly a threat to anybody. But he is the guy. He's the guy that could open the floodgates. That's right. But if you've been to some of these hearings, I really wish people would go to court. Just to understand what the courts are doing. it's difficult to watch because you know that their evidence holds no water. You know the evidence being brought forth by Michael's side is solid. And like you said, they don't want to hear about it. They just refuse to hear it. And if you've ever written a letter to a government agency, they don't read them. You're absolutely correct. They don't read them. They want nothing to do with it. That's them and us, and we're us, and they control what they control, and they protect what they protect. And if you get in their way, they'll run you over. And that's why Michael's so important, because God knows. I mean, I did that show last night, and I went through a whole bunch of videos and whatnot of Michael's, and you know, the idea is about submission, and we will make you submit. And when they run into a guy like Michael, they don't know what to do with him because he doesn't submit. He knows right from wrong, and the courts do not deal in right and wrong. They deal in protection. It's a protection racket. And so, you know, on the one side, I'm very positive about what's going to happen on the 29th and 30th with this injunction. On the other hand, I'm quite concerned about it because they come in and say, well, you know, regardless of all of our witnesses lied on the stand, regardless if none of our scientific evidence holds up, regardless of everything, we're going to put an injunction in. And that bothers me more than anything, is the fact that they don't care, you know. And I mean, I got some raw milk and I have some raw what do you call it, liquid yogurt, whatever I don't know if they call that kefir or what it is, but you know, it's fantastic, and I'm out of raw milk. And I'm irritated by the idea I can't just go get it. You know.
I hear you.
So you know, it's about our freedom to eat what we wish to eat. Now, if you take it to the extreme, the government could legislate that you can only eat jelly beans, and if you're caught eating anything else, you'll be fined. That's how ludicrous this is.
That's right. That's right. Well, and you know that under the injunction, also, you cannot even talk about raw milk because it says that anyone who basically just talks about it or tries to get it from the farmer is criminally liable. And that's scary.
It's very
scary.
I mean? It's very, very scary because whatever they legislate, regardless of how ridiculous it is, we're supposed to lay down to it. And we have to stop it somewhere. I'm sorry.
That's okay. And when I said that Michael is a threat, it's not because what he does or you know, what he produces. It's because of his unrelentless leadership in this field and his constant fight for the food rights. And they need to punish him and to squash him so that others don't follow in suit. You know what I mean? That is the threat. That he it's a wake-up call. He's a whistleblower. He wants to wake up people and make them stand up for their rights. And I think this is the what the government perceives as a danger, because they're very comfortable with all the corporations, all the agencies, all the control. They don't want people to break out of that control, and that is what I find the most bothersome. And because most of people just don't want to be bothered. They're that nice people, nice, quiet majority who just want to have their peaceful life. You know what I mean?
I know. I suffered that in the 70s when I was talking to Americans and that who moved up here, and it was, you know, this is a beautiful country and they're beautiful people. But and this was told to me many times in the 70s, but Canadians are so completely docile, it's nuts. And that was done on purpose. It was to basically nullify any buddy getting up and saying something's wrong here. So when a guy like Michael comes along and says something's wrong here, it's very difficult for people. They go, why? I've had all kinds of people say it. Why is he doing this? Right? Why is he doing this? He's doing it because it's the right thing to do. Simple as that.
Exactly.
Your food is poison. Oh no, the government wouldn't poison our food.
Yeah.
Well, what is it you're eating exactly? Have you ever looked at the production of your food? Because if you did, it would sicken you to think that you're actually putting this crap in your body. But they've got people so convinced that the government's the good guy, they just look the other way and end up at the doctor and end up taking all kinds of pills. Well, the doctor wouldn't steer us wrong, and the government wouldn't steer us wrong, and this wouldn't steer us wrong. And you look at the health of the average Canadian is terrible. And all Michael's trying to do is take you back to a food system which was there to sustain you and make you healthy, and that's a problem somehow. It all boils down to money, right?
Yeah.
Money and control. So, but even I had some people come here when I had some raw milk here, and I'd say, I got some raw milk, and I'm gonna make up some milkshakes or smoothies or whatever you want one. Oh, no, thank you. No, thank you.
Yep.
Right. Well, what about if I make it out of pasteurized milk? Are you okay with that?
Yeah. People are very fearful. I have ostracized quite a few people after talking to them, about all these issues. They're like, no, I don't want to hear. Don't destroy my beautiful little paradise. I want to stay in my box. I'm comfortable here. Don't try to take me out of here,
Yeah, and I don't get it. I have a hard time with that. I don't understand it. Like I'm the kind of guy, if something's wrong or I'm wrong, tell me and I'll thank you for pointing it out to me. Here they put their hands over their ears and they run away somewhere, and you go, this is ludicrous. It just doesn't make any sense. So we were in court on Wednesday for Farmer George, who's also an organic farmer, who was also charged with Michael and a few others for obstruction when they raided the place raided the farm the last time. And George didn't bother coming to pick up. They had warrants out for everybody, and the charges, but the police didn't deliver them to anybody. And so George came in just when the trial was starting, and the judge wouldn't allow him to be part of the trial. So they've had George in there about 4 times now, and me and another friend went over to the courthouse Wednesday for George, and he was there from 9 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and they didn't even attend to anything because they don't know how to handle George either, right? So instead of being honest, let's sit down and see, you're a smart woman, and Michael's a smart guy, and I always believe that we should just sit down and resolve our differences and find out how we can satisfy both parties. And that's not how the government works. We are going to shut you down whether you like it or not. And we have, and this is what I think the Canadian people ought to understand, the amount of money that is wasted when they go to persecuting somebody, you're paying for it.
Yep.
They take all of their resources and they throw them at whoever they're bothering, and you are paying for it. So all of the harm that has come upon Michael, and it's been lots, over the last 20 years, you're all participating in his persecution because you're all paying for it. And if you think about it that way, you're responsible. Everybody in Ontario is responsible for what's happened to Michael. And if you look at it from that sense, you do have a responsibility to be involved in it. Now, if Michael's absolutely incorrect and the raw milk is killing people all over the place, which no one's ever gotten ill from his milk in 20 plus years. Meanwhile, people have been sickened from leafy greens they bought in the grocery stores, from hamburger they bought in the grocery stores, from food they bought from the fast food joints. None of those places get shut down. They're all big business. They make excuses for these outfits. But when someone who legitimately only wants the best for you, that's Michael's only motivation, and he touched on that when he was on earlier, is his only motivation is for your benefit. And they won't allow that. So that shows that there's something terribly wrong.
They treat him as if he is guilty unless proven innocent. That's the presumption of innocence in reverse.
Yes.
On their books, he is guilty, regardless what he says, regardless how many people back him up, regardless how many people swear by raw milk and how much benefit they get from it. He is guilty for them. Guilty because he stood up. He dared.
Yeah, I've been in that position, not on the time scale that Michael's been on, but I've had the government come at me in the past, but not the provincial government. I've had the municipal government come at me in the past and beat them back. And what one of the counselors said, which is exactly where Michael's coming from. I phoned one of the counselors, asked him if he understood what was going on. He said yes, because he was an ex-counselor. And he said they were at his house the night before the administration. And I said, and what happened? He said, this is what I told him. When Ron's right, and Ron knows he's right, not you or anybody else are going to make him stop. So my advice is just back off of him, because in this instance he's right. And I would like to see that happen at the provincial level as far as Michael is concerned. You know, the provincial or the municipal level, they don't have the capacity, they don't have the resources to throw like they do at the provincial level. But it's really no different because Michael knows he's right. And, nobody is going to convince him otherwise, because you can't, because he is right. Anybody who understands food knows he's right. And so what we need is we need to continue to garner support. And it's not so much support for Michael, it's support for the future of your children, more or less, that they have access to nutritious food. Because the government has made it very, very plain they don't want anybody to have safe, nutritious food. You know, if you flip this so that it was correct, and Michael was producing poison food, i.e. full of herbicides, pesticides, antibiotics, growth hormones, all the rest of the nonsense that goes into your food, the government should be coming down on themselves, because they're the ones that are force-feeding everybody. And they're force-feeding everybody because people don't have access to anything else. So if it was flipped and the government was producing good food like Michael is, and Michael tried to produce food like the government is producing, I would say shut him down immediately, because he's selling me poison food and food with no nutrition in it. but it's backwards, because it's Michael who's being beat up trying to get you good food, where the government knowingly is selling you poisoned, non-nutritious food, and they seem to be the only food source that people can get, and it's ass backwards. When I was a kid, food was food. There was none. You never even heard the word organic. Food was just food.
Yeah, that's the only food there was.
Was good, nutritious food, because people knew that the only point of food is to have good, nutritious food makes a good, healthy body and a good, healthy mind. And all of a sudden it disappeared, and it became a big business. And when they control your food, well, they have total and complete control over you. And the pharmaceuticals is a big business, so you get sick from eating the food, or you get allergies from eating the food, and then you end up with a doctor who writes you a prescription, which puts money in another big corporation. I mean, the medical corporations, the way they went after the health food industry was basically the same way they went after Michael. They don't want you to have access to anything other than what they produce. And I do not believe that any government has the authority to tell you what you can and cannot eat. It makes no sense. They don't have the authority to do it. And if you look at Michael, is no different than the marijuana industry. How many people got thrown in jail over the years as the government's hyping this plant as you'll turn into a crazy person, or this or that, or it'll shorten your life. I mean, they threw all their nonsensical, illegitimate science at it until they figured out how to get control of it.
How to make money off it.
Exactly. How to make money from it and still control it. And you can only have their weed. You can't have your own weed. It's basically the same as Michael. You can have their milk, but you can't have somebody else's milk. Right? So it's really kind of the same situation with Michael. As they said at that symposium in Guelph, and someone asked the question, which was basically, if the government could figure out how to make money off the raw milk industry, would they change the way they're doing things? And the answer was yes, but we haven't figured out how to make money on it yet. So it's not about health, it's about money, and it's about control. Absolutely. So, Michael, if they fight this is why I don't want them to legalize it, because then you end up like they do with the marijuana industry. The government has legal control of it, which we don't want. We don't want them having legal control of our food source. No, not a chance. So what he's doing is pushing to have it legalized. Now, he's past that point, I think now. There's no point in this any longer, but once people, just like marijuana, when people start basically thumbing their nose at the government will figure out a way to get control of that and then legalize it. And again, unless you're licensed through the government, you still won't be able to produce it. You'll be able to get raw milk down the road, but only through their distributors, right? It's all about control. It's all about money, because when you control it, the money's there. So it's a kind of I got to say, it's an interesting time to be alive. That's for sure, because we're either going to win this or we're going to lose it. And I can't see us losing it, because it wouldn't make any sense to lose this. If somebody comes up and says, you can't eat that, you have to eat this. Well, this here steak I got come from a farmer who knows how to grow food. Yes, but that steak's not healthy, just like his milk's not healthy. We made you a steak over here that is full of so much chemical and garbage, and the feed's bad. You can have that steak. And that's exactly what the government's saying. You can have this milk, but you can't have that milk. But his milk is healthy. That doesn't matter. You can't have the healthy milk. You can have this dead milk over here. Makes no sense. But you've been to the court. You've watched the court.
Yes, like going back to the live milk, dead milk. In European countries, they have the vending machines that sell raw milk. You can find them anywhere, like England, Italy, France. I think they're dismantling them in Italy for some reason. But all that they have there, it's spout where you can press a button, whatever, press a button and fill your mug or any other container with raw milk. And there's a little disclaimer that says, this product may contain pathogens. It is recommended to heat it before consumption. And that's it. And that's how the government there regulates raw milk sales. They warn the public and they give them the choice. You have a choice. You can follow the instructions, heat it and drink it after you heat it, or you can drink it raw because it's your body and you choose what you put in your body. So why can't we have the same system here? Well, if it's really about public concern, educate the public, but let them have a choice. You let them have a choice to go to the liquor store and drink alcohol. You let them have a choice and you educate them about the 4,000 deaths a year from tobacco-related diseases in Canada. Still, you let them buy tobacco. So why don't we have the same approach to raw milk? It's not like farmers are going to flood the market with raw milk and the whole population will get sick. There are people who want it. There are people who grew up on it and they want to continue consuming the same food. There are people who do it for health reasons because there are known, scientifically proven health benefits. And the government refuses to look at that kind of science because it's not a corporate science, and they believe only in corporate science and corporate funded studies. And so far, there haven't been none. So why we have choices in one area of our life, but we cannot have choice only when it comes to raw milk. Just today, I heard that you are 20 times more likely to get listeria or any other health problems from deli products, cold cuts, than from raw milk. So if it's 20 times, why isn't government concerned about that? Why don't they shut down, Maple Leaf, whatever, any other cold meat producers? Again, going back, it's not health concerns. It's not protection.
It's funny you brought up. I just want to butt in while this is my mind. I'm butt in for half a second. When you said Maple Leaf, my father-in-law was a farmer his entire life, and he was a well-respected farmer, and he would not go anywhere near a Maple Leaf brand product. Wanted nothing to do with it because he understood the farming practices and that. And it's not food. It really truly isn't food. It's a commercial commodity. And if you just take and you look, the cow eats the grass, the cow produces the milk, the cow lives a long, healthy life and produces good milk. You take a commercial barn, you have a cow with an udder. If you've ever been near a commercial barn, I feel sorry for the animals. Their udders are so freaking humongous that you don't wonder how the animal can even walk. compared to a grass-fed whose udder is quite small and produces far less milk, but it's clean milk, versus what they're feeding the animals in the barns of the commercial, which is everything basically that they shouldn't be eating. And then it's okay because we're going to kill the milk anyways, right? Before you get it, we're going to kill it. So it really doesn't matter what we feed the animals. And if you look at what, when I studied the swill barns, they call them, or the swill milkers, that were being fed the waste from the distilleries during the Depression, when people were using milk as their sustenance. It was what they could afford. Even if they couldn't afford other food, they could get their hands on milk. But the people in the cities, the cows aren't out in the field in the cities. They're sitting in these overcrowded, dirty barns, being fed the waste product from the distilleries. Those are the milk barns that made the people sick. That's where the milk came from that killed the people. And they run that with a wide brush and say, oh, it's all raw milk. But if you look at the swill houses of yesterday or yesteryear, back in the 30s and the 20s and that, and you look at the commercial barns of today, those animals are basically being kept and fed the same as they were in the swill barns. The only difference is now they pasteurize the milk, so they kill it, right? So really, we've gone backwards as far as milk production is concerned. We're still running swill milk, and if you're not getting real milk, then you're not getting milk at all, I guess, is basically what I'm trying to say. What you buy at the grocery store is not milk.
That's true.
May look like milk. The commercials may put that big milk frosty, mustache on the actors, but it's not milk. It's a white liquid.
Yeah. It's a product. It's a beverage.
Yeah. It's no different than pop or anything else. It's just it's no good for you. Pop's no good for you, and the milk is no good for you. Now, I don't know how we convince Canadians, or the people in Ontario here, of how important their food is. Now, you're a teacher in a school, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you pay any attention to what the students are bringing to school to eat or whatever, or they're just eating the cafeteria food or whatever. But you're a high school teacher, right? So
yes.
They have a cafeteria. So you're saying that at the cafeteria you don't have any raw milk dispensers?
You're funny. You're funny.
But you know what I'm saying?
We have vending machines.
We have vending machines, all kinds of those
bars.
things. Yeah. All kinds
Chips.
of that stuff.
Yeah.
But no real food. And
you know what the interesting thing is, speaking about lunches, I find that because we are very multicultural, and I find that the children of the newcomers, the new immigrants, always come to school with, like whatever, rice, vegetables. It's like containers with some healthy stuff from all kinds of ethnic cuisines. Mm-hmm. While Canadian children from Canadian families are less so. It's like sandwiches, like whatever, bologna sandwiches, that kind of stuff. And I don't want to be like totally like, sweeping across, say all Canadians eat badly, but generally, like sort of statistically, newcomers, immigrants tend to eat healthier than Canadians who have been here for many years, for many generations.
Yeah, because we've lost our connection to our food.
And to nature.
You don't see commercials on TV to eat good, healthy food or where to get it, right? I mean, the kids sit in front of the TVs from the time they're born, and they're fed these pictures of junk, right?
Yeah.
You know, eat this chocolate bar, eat this, eat that, drink this pop. You know, and it's sad because you know, our health, you know, our health is going downhill quickly here, and it's not like we have a shortage of land to grow real food on. It's not that we're ignorant to the point we don't know what food is. We've just been sold something that's extremely detrimental to us in the West in general. In the West, you know, it's good for the doctors, it's good for the pharmaceuticals, it's good for everything but your health, and it's really weird. You know, we've had people for dinner, and we have, you know, mixed vegetables and mashed potatoes and some meat and stuff, and they go, "Wow, I haven't seen food like this for a long time," right? What are you talking about? You know, people go and get some pizza pops for supper or something, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's.
You know, I read somewhere recently that Asian women have the lowest rate of breast cancer occurrence. But when they immigrate to the North American countries, it changes. The ratio changes, and it's the same as, you know, in North America. Basically, they were saying that because of the environment where they used to live, and they move here and they start consuming what everybody is consuming, that it's the product that we are consuming that causes diseases, and not necessarily genetics or your ethnic background.
No, it's not.
So it's
that
the
at
environment.
all.
And you know, it's funny. When I came to Canada in 1994, and I heard the word allergy, I was like, "What's that?" Like, till 29, I never heard the word allergy because it just wasn't there where I lived. I didn't know what it is. I didn't know what there is such thing as sensitivity to specific food. Like, it just didn't exist in my world.
Well, see, when I was a kid, the only thing that I ever heard would be an allergy would be like hay fever or something like that, or ragweed or what, which is just a natural pollen, right? And but all these sensitivities when I was a kid didn't exist, you know.
Yeah.
And so this is the progression that we've been on, is downhill. I just find it interesting that, you know, you were 29 and you never heard the word allergy. And that's the way it's supposed to be. And people say, you know, I have even some in-laws, you know, I said, you know, that aren't that healthy and they're taking pills and that. And I said, you know, why don't you change things? Oh, no, it's genetics in the family. No, it's not. No, it's not. You're filling your face full of garbage and you're way overweight. And you're not healthy, and now you're taking a bunch of pills, which is going to make you less healthy, because everything you ingest has an effect. It's either going to be a positive or a negative effect. And if you're putting in something negative, you're going to end up with a negative effect. There's no other way to go.
That's right.
And so I've read that before. What you're saying is that people come here from other countries and that. Find that once they go to the Western diet, things start to go bad on them because it's not really food, right?
And in terms of genetics, you know, you can have all kinds of genes, but you need environmental triggers to start those genes, you know, affecting your body. You know, we all have, they call it longevity genes. If your parents or grandparents had a long life, you're more likely to have a long life yourself. But if, let's say, breast cancer goes in your family, if you, you know, study, research, and change your lifestyle, you may not trigger that gene, and you may, the breast cancer may bypass you.
Exactly. If you're keeping your system strong with good food, good nutritious food, then your chances of triggering anything negative becomes smaller than if you're filling your face full of poison. Then obviously you're weakening your system, which is your natural fight, and you become susceptible to things otherwise you wouldn't be susceptible to. And I would just, I mean, I got to find a cow. I really truly do. Well,
I've been looking at that too.
I get some raw milk every now and again, and I'm just a happy camper. Now I've had to take antibiotics in the past, right? That video I sent you, that doctor, he was talking about probiotics, which people take to help their gut bacteria after taking antibiotics, and that which destroys your good gut bacteria. But then, he puts raw milk up as, you can take all the probiotics you want, but nothing as far as a probiotic can compare to raw milk, nothing. That's like a super probiotic, right? And it's natural and it's digestible and so on and so forth. So everything that we look to as medicine and that is all there naturally in our food system if we had a proper food system. I really feel bad for the kids, right? Because, I mean, the kids, I didn't start, we didn't really, and it's all about enticement, right? Like when I was a kid, food basically is fairly boring, right?
Yeah.
So they trick it up on you, right? They show you this nice, juicy looking burger made out of a cow that died 4 times sooner than it should have because they're overproducing the milk and they got to get rid of the carcass, so they turn into hamburgers. And you're eating all the poison that killed the cow. But it looks good, doesn't it? Yum, yum.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And people, I don't know, they're easily deceived, I guess. I don't know. I mean, if the fast food business was depending on me, then I'll be broke. And if you don't eat fast food for a while, and then you do eat it, it's not palatable. It really, truly isn't. You just go, you just turn, what is this? Right? This is not food. The only thing that needs to go into a body is food. And if you're not putting the right food in, you're going to kill yourself. Now, I'm going to try something here. We're at the top of the hour pretty much. I got to try something. Something's totally screwed up here. It says I have Kathy and Paul in here, but they're not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut this all down, and Kathy called.
Try to reconnect.
Yeah, Kathy called and said that she tried to get in, but the servers went down or something. So it says she's in, but she's not. And I tried to drag her in, and I can't get her in because it says she's already in here. So I'm just going to shut this all down for a couple of seconds and try and
I only see you.
Up.
Nobody else.
Yeah, no,
I just see you.
It says in the list that Kathy or Paul is in here, but they're not, and I can't get them in here. So I'm going to just try and shut this down. And Michael should be done what Michael's doing now. So I'm just going to try and drag everybody back in here. And I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to meeting you in Newmarket. I really hope we get an awful big crowd down there, just to show them that regardless of what the court has to say, we're not stopping. And I think that's the message that has to be put to them. You can yell from the rooftops, but we're not stopping. You cannot tell us that we can't have, can you just imagine this? Well, we're putting an injunction in. Oh, well, we tried, and I guess we can't have food now. We'll just all go home now, and not have food.
No.
And it won't happen.
No.
It's too far gone now.
It won't.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll do this and we'll get right back in here.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry about that, folks. We're back. I just got to see. I don't know why. I changed computers and I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but having a bit of problem here. I really want to get Paul in here. Paul Noble, he was on with here a couple of weeks ago, or a week ago, whatever. And I really want to get him in here. But for some oddball reason, we're having a problem. So I'm going to try and bring her in first, Kathy, and see if we can get her in here. We'll bring Michael and Ira back in. Hello? User not online. Damn it. What the heck is going on here? Says she's online and not online. So something's not going right there at their end. So let me see if I can't bring Ira back in here. Let's see what we got. That's not online. This is really messed up. Okay, I'm going to bring Ira back in here because that seems to be the only one I can get my hands on. Shows Michael offline. And hopefully I have Ira back, right? I still can't get Paul in here. Something is screwed up on their end big time. Says they're offline now. And it looks like Michael's still working on whatever he's working on. So anyways, it's you get your milk from Paul, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And so you actually go to his farm to pick up your milk versus what Michael does.
Yes, of course.
Okay, and that seems to be where the problem is with the distribution.
Well, that's right. That's right. We couldn't put them through that, knowing what was going on with Michael all these years, over 20 years.
Yeah.
We have about 160 herd share members, and my family consumes between 8 and 10 liters of raw milk a week. The family of 4. And so far, so good. My 7-year-old has had close to 2,000 liters of milk to date since she was 18 months old. And she doesn't even have a family doctor.
No, you're healthy when you don't have a family doctor. I don't have a family doctor, my advice to people, and it was given to me. Actually, that advice was given to me by an uncle or an aunt long time ago. Don't get near these people if you don't have to. right? It's that simple.
Yeah.
Okay, it looks like I got Michael back in here again. Okay, this isn't going to work this way. I have to do it the other way. Where did I just see her? There we go. In this way. Okay, well, looks like we got Michael in here now. This is really messed up, but you have to excuse us.
Hello, I'm back on.
Who are you?
Hello.
Michael.
Michael. Oh, you that farmer?
Yes.
Oh, well, no, no, I'm sorry, sir. This is a government show. And, yeah, and...
I'm used to shoveling manure.
Yes, yes, you are. There's okay, now I got Kathy call. Let me see if I can get her in here. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble getting her in here. It says not online.
Hello, Michael.
There they are.
Hello.
Hello.
Paul?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, this is amazing. Okay, we finally got everybody in here.
Farms Forum.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get back to.
Consumer.
Okay, let's get back to Michael here for a second. Michael?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I want to do this really quickly. I watched the video of where the little girl feigned death there from drinking raw milk.
Right.
Yeah. Now, the thing with Hazel Lynn, who was the director of health for Grey Bruce, right?
Yes.
She, this is a perfect example, okay? On the one side, she's saying that you'll die or be very ill and probably die if you drink raw milk. And on the other side, so on both sides here, she's protecting the corporations. The other side was we had the windmill, the renewable energy fights up here. And I know way too many people that don't live in their own homes now. They've been driven from their homes. So on the one side, she's saying that your milk could kill people, but the pasteurized milk is great for you. On the other side, all of these people that have had their lives destroyed by the wind industry, she's saying in that case, their illnesses and their inability to be sleep and all the rest of this is all in their heads. So, it's all about the corporation, right? That's all it's about. And the people don't matter a damn. Because she's just talking out both sides of her mouth.
Yeah, that's what they do. That's
Yeah.
what they do.
So, there's no evidence that anybody ever got sick from your milk, but your milk's poison. There's all kinds of evidence all these people got sick from the windmills and driven from their homes, but that's all in their heads. And I'm Hazel Lynn, and I'm getting paid a lot of money for this.
She gets paid more than the Prime Minister of Canada. You know that.
Yeah, she's retired now, right? She took the money and ran. She did her job because she was getting just over 100,000 a year or something, and then all of a sudden it went up over 300,000 a year because she was doing a good job. Wasn't it had anything to do with health, right? She was a good mouthpiece for industry. And I don't know whatever happened to her, but I'm glad she's gone with the paycheck. But anyways, back to what's really important here, and that's the 28th or 29th and 30th of May, which is at the courthouse in Newmarket. Now, do you have the address of that courthouse?
Yeah, it is 50 Eagle Street.
50 Eagle Street.
50 Eagle Street, and that's just off Yonge Street.
Now, I'm still a little bit confused about, I read the factum there, and it sounds like it's already a done deal. I mean, they're talking future and past tense all in the same sentence. I'm not sure what that's supposed to indicate. But I'm hoping that there's some raw milk shows up at the courthouse like it did in 2010. I'm really hopeful for that. I'm really hopeful that everybody just raises a glass and said, you know what? We're not interested in what's going on here. I don't understand how they can put an injunction against you. And the injunction is it the injunction just about the distribution arm of this, or is it about the milk plant itself?
It's about everything. It's a pretty broad statement what they're doing, and that is why Paul and Kathy are equally affected, and the other cow share farmers as well, that they make it so
and the
broad.
consumers.
Pardon?
And the consumers too.
And
anyone who talks about it, right?
Yeah. So basically, everyone who has knowledge of it participates and promotes will become basically, is then exposed to criminal charges. Okay.
We are criminally liable for talking about raw milk.
Right. So that's basically what they're planning to do.
So they're after you to get an injunction against you, which opens the door to go after everybody else.
Right. They make an example, and then they go after the rest of the crew, and that's what's going to happen. And that's why it is so unbelievable crucial that people show up there, because they're saying in their statement that it's a public nuisance we do, and in the public's interest, they have to crack down that we obey the law. Okay.
But you have to understand the meaning of the word public. Okay, and the word public is it means anything owned by the corporation. Okay, that's the meaning of the word public. So it's not in the public interest. In other words, it's not in the corporate interest.
Right.
It's not in the interest of the province, which is a corporation, or in the interest of the corporate milk marketing board.
Yeah.
Okay, they're not talking about families.
Yeah.
When they say public. And people need to understand that when they hear the word public. It's about what's owned by the corporation. It's in the corporate interest, not the public interest.
And that's basically what we up to here. That it's a corporate interest, and the small farms which connect directly with people are a threat to the corporation.
Right, but they use the word public to put this idea out that it's about the little children that we're interested in. They don't care about the little children.
Right.
When they say public, they mean our interests, our corporate interests, and you are a threat to our corporate interests is what threat to the public is, and that needs to be made perfectly clear to people that they understand that, because when people hear public, they think, that your raw milk is a threat to their family, which is completely wrong.
Yeah.
So, I had this dream last night that, they raided Paul's farm and they gave him a $100,000 fine, right? And just did a sweep through Ontario. Now, when you were off air, I was talking to Ira about this. If you go back to the swill milk barns, which is where all of this started from, where they were feeding the cattle in overcrowded, unclean barns, feeding them the garbage that was left over from the
breweries.
Now, if you go and you bring that forward to the commercial milk barns of today, it's pretty much the same thing.
Yes.
Right? They're feeding these cattle or the cows all kinds of garbage, right? Like corn is not a natural feed for cows, nor is soy, nor is a bunch of this
nor
other
is animal
stuff that they sell.
protein.
Right, this is not natural food, and it's basically almost the same. It's very identical to the swill barns that caused the problem in the first place. The only difference between the swill barns and the commercial dairies today is they cook the milk now and they kill it. right? But it's the same garbage, right? If you went and you didn't pasteurize the milk coming out of these commercial barns, would people get sick? Yes, definitely they would get sick.
Well, that's why I'm always stressing. I'm not saying that we should get rid of pasteurization. I think I support pasteurization for commercial dairies, no question. I think it should be done, but people should have a choice in regards to if they want to have milk from a farmer directly or if they want to get it from the pasteurized milk. It's their choice. I mean, that is what we're supposed to do. We can freely kill ourselves with food, or we can get healthier.
But we don't want you to get healthier. We're not in the health business. We're in the commercial food business.
Right.
And wish you people would quit talking about healthy food. You're confusing people. Basically what the government's saying. So, okay, on the 29th and the 30th, I saw in the Factum there's an awfully long list of affidavits in there. Now, are these people going to be allowed to speak?
No. That part of the problem here we have is that my wife and I just counted the amount of documents which are submitted to the court are close to 10,000 pages. Close to 10,000 pages. A judge hasn't seen them yet, okay? And he has 2 days to make a decision based on these 10,000 pages if there should be an injunction against the raw milk farmers or not. If you tell me if that is justice, that has nothing to do with justice,
Michael,
Yes.
all raw milk farmers are by default guilty unless proven innocent.
Yeah,
and they don't want them to prove yourself innocent.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, but I do believe you can prove yourself innocent if you go back in the history. The history proves that their science is wrong, absolutely wrong. And you can prove that raw milk has always been a healthy. It's like Ira said when her grandma got tuberculosis. What did the doctor say? Get to a farm.
That's right. And drink
Go to
raw
the
milk.
farm. Yeah, and it cleared up the tuberculosis.
On another note, pasteurization exists for about 100 years. Humans consume raw milk for about 5,000 or whatever we know about it, right?
Yeah,
so if
the first
raw
cow
milk
landed
was really such a dangerous drink, we should have extinct a long time ago. We should have all died and not exist.
Absolutely.
And
there
not
should
have
be nobody here. The milk the cow was put here for a reason. The grass was put here for a reason. And the milk was produced for a reason, all which are 100% positive. And they're telling you that you can't have food. And that has to stop somehow. But I thought the problem, like Hazel Lynn, Michael, said she didn't care about the milk. It's not illegal to drink raw milk. It's illegal to distribute it. Now the court's saying that you can't even produce it, is I think what the court's telling you.
Well, that's what they basically, in some of these cross-examinations, they stipulate that you cannot, theoretically, according to their interpretation of the law, taking the milk from the cow in a jar and pour it in your glass is an illegal act. You need a license for that. Okay, so that's what they're saying, and basically eliminating the right of people to basically you can milk your cow, but you can't take the milk.
Well, see, I think they may be digging themselves a hole because they've always said that the farmer can milk a cow and feed his milk to the family. So on the one hand, they're saying that it's dangerous, and the other hand, and they're saying that they have to do what they're doing in order to keep the people safe from this nasty substance. But on the other hand, it's perfectly okay for the farm families to be drinking the milk that they're telling everybody else is poison. So obviously putting the farm families at risk. You know what I'm saying?
I do understand.
They keep saying one thing one day and one thing another day. And I noticed when I read the Milk Act, all the interpretations are a wide brush, right?
Yeah.
In other words, they just change it whenever they want, mean whatever they want, whenever they want to mean it, and you have to pay the price for it.
Yeah. And they can do that.
Well, they can't really do it because they're wrong. I mean, it's that simple. They're wrong. There's science.
You know, sorry, if I may, as a consumer, I lived through the time in another country when we would go to the grocery stores and the shelves would be totally empty. And we would have to wait for the truck to come from the bakery to bring the bread, and then the truck to come from the milk processing plant and bring the milk. And, you know, just sometimes people would spend hours and hours waiting for some truck to come and bring some food. So me being totally selfish here, I want to have that relationship with the farmer where if that happens, God forbid, here, I can go directly to the farmer and take the food or buy the food I need, I deem healthy for myself, for my family, whether it's raw milk, whether it's, beef, whether it's vegetables. It should be up to me to make that decision. And as a citizen in a free country, I should not have any restrictions as to how and where I will be sourcing my food. And I think it goes beyond like raw milk.
It goes way beyond raw milk. It's the whole spectrum of food. You know, Michael brought this up long time ago when he wanted. You remember this, Michael, when you wanted to do a bit of a truck protest kind of thing to slow the trucks down coming into Owen Sound.
Yeah.
To show people just how vulnerable their food supply really is. You know, there's max 3 days of food in the stores. And if those trucks shut down, and what you're saying here is what happened in the Ukraine and that, where people are standing, you know, all day waiting for a truck to show up. What happens if the truck don't show up? Where's the food coming from? And that's why it's so important to have a direct connection to the food.
And that's why the government wants to stop everybody from having that direct connection.
Well, exactly.
They want to control everything.
Well, as Kissinger said, control the food, control the people, and that's exactly what they're up to. And they don't want. I mean, it's so crazy if you even think about it. You know, they can tell me I can't grow a tomato in my yard.
Exactly.
Who thinks they got that kind of power? They only have the power that we give them. You know, we don't give them power; they don't have it. And if they think they got it, we just soon take it away from them.
Well, and that seems to be the problem. People don't seem to realize that if they stand up, every one of them counts. And it becomes such not large numbers that the authorities have to pay attention.
Yeah, it's always just a matter of standing up.
It's easy to squash one person at a time. It's harder to squash a crowd.
And that's why
That's
why we need to get as many people as we can to Newmarket on the 29th and the 30th. We have to put a show there, and it's not just protesting. I'm not into protesting. It's to say what needs to be said, and our actions are going to be backed up, or what we say is going to be backed up by our actions. And you know, when I saw that video last night, I put that video in the show last night of the raid in 206. And like I told Aaron, I don't have anything to base it on really, but the clothing that the agents and that were wearing and the way they came into the farm, it just reminded me of some kind of a East Bloc raid or something. It was just, it was over the top. That this could even happen in this country. Pardon me? You were going to say something, Paul?
You know, the funny thing that East Bloc has never gone as far as controlling what people eat. People could have little gardens behind the apartment buildings. They would dig root cellars behind the apartment buildings, and the government would say nothing to that. We could go to, you know, farmers markets, eat whatever we wanted, buy whatever we wanted. It was more about ideological control and political control, but they didn't go as far as controlling, you know, the food consumption and regulations.
See, when I was a kid,
you know, people live.
When I was a kid in Renfrew, Ontario, if there was an empty lot in the neighborhood, the people would get a hold of the owner of the lot and see if we could use it for community garden, and that's what we did. You know, and it worked out very, very well for everybody. And like you said, people had root cellars and that, and it worked out very well. If I took an empty lot today in town here and turned it into a community garden, they'd shut me down in a second.
You're not even allowed to grow vegetables on your front lawn because, you know, the curb appeal for the whole neighborhood. You have to have grass. You cannot have vegetables there.
Right. Because somehow vegetables, I guess, are insidious. I don't know. People must be offended by them or something. You know, this is complete control over your food, and it has to stop. And, you know, we need as many people as absolutely possible to show up in Newmarket on the 29th and the 30th.
Yeah, absolutely crucial, and I cannot stress that more enough. If people are complacent and think they can, you know, oh, somebody else will go there, don't worry about it. No, it is the time.
We all have a responsibility for our own health, and you know, this is they're going to try and pull something here on the 29th and 30th that is going to be extremely nefarious, and we have to have enough people there to show them that they can say and do whatever they want, but it's not going to shut anything down, and make that well known to them. I got this bad feeling I'm going to end up driving a milk delivery truck from the farm. I don't know why I think that, but I'm thinking if they shut you down that you can't do deliveries and nobody else can do deliveries there, then I guess I'll have to drive the truck. Because you cannot take food away from people. You can't do it. You can take a lot of things away from people, but you can't take their food. And you cannot tell them, I don't care who they think they are, they cannot tell people what they can and cannot eat.
That's right. Because today it is raw milk. Tomorrow, what they're going to say, I cannot go to our local organic farmer that I go to, and he would just take me to the field and pull out whatever I ask him to pull out. So tomorrow the government's going to say, nope, that onion didn't pass the government inspection. You cannot have it straight from the dirt because it's dirty. There are bacteria on it. Yeah. I am not prepared to live like that.
I'm not either. And nor should anybody else in this province or this country or anywhere else. You know, I look at like you brought up longevity, and I look at the longevity, and you're absolutely correct, because I've looked into this. People who have families who lived, you know, not just lived, but were healthy, and their minds were healthy and strong, way into their late 90s, and then they start eating the Western diet, and all of a sudden, I mean, how is it that my aunts and uncles and grandparents and that all lived as long as they did. None of them ate junk, and lived extremely healthy lives, working well into their 90s. And now my cousins are dying at the age of 50. How's that possible? Unless something very bad's going on here.
Well, since 1950s, the food industry introduced over 70,000 different chemicals into food production. 70,000. And none of them were for health benefits. It's mostly to prolong the shelf life so that the products don't spoil and they can make money easier and longer. Those 70,000 chemicals can't do much good, in my humble opinion.
Well, no, because that's not what your body's built out of, right? And
Right.
It really doesn't matter. I mean, when I realized that I was allergic to MSGs and pulled all that junk food out of my system, and when I went to the doctor to just simply get some allergy tests, he refused. He no, you have acid reflux. I said, no, I'm allergic to something. He says, I'm the doctor. Here's a prescription. Now, what's your prescription is going to do? It's going to mask the problem. It's not going to cure anything. It's going to mask the problem. So he wasn't very pleased with me, but I haven't been to a doctor since, I don't think. And I'm doing fine, thank you very much. But I took that out of my system on my own, and all of these negative effects I was having have disappeared. So what you put in your system is going to affect your system. Put in good, you got a good system. Put in bad, you got a bad system. It's pretty much that simple. You know, if you have a car and it says only use premium gas and you're putting regular gas in it, your vehicle's not going to run very good. And if you're putting in poor fuel, which is your food, versus good fuel, you're going to see a huge difference in how that body operates. And they don't want us to have good fuel, because if you have good fuel, then your mind works better, and then you can see the mess that we're in, and you will probably stand up. If they keep you with bad fuel and your mind's not working the way it should, you become very submissive, and that's exactly what they want. So, you know, we should have milk injection sites across this nation. Don't you think, Michael?
How did you get that idea?
Well, that made me
Safe
giggle.
injection. Yeah, I'm totally for it.
Did you see that video, Ira?
Yeah.
I was just laughing too hard when I saw that, you know. I mean, this is true, though. I mean, you hit it on the nail. I mean, we have injection sites all over the place now for drug addicts. How did they become drug addicts? Probably through pharmaceuticals. And so if you're going to have people injecting themselves, how ridiculous is this? The government's there to help you not get off the drugs, but they'll supply you with the needles and safe injection sites so that you can stay addicted to this garbage that's killing you. But raw milk, you can't have that because it is healthy. And it's ridiculous. It is. I mean, if you just think about it for a second, it makes no sense whatsoever. But it goes back to the propaganda, and it goes back to what you said last time you were on about when you took your daughter to see a naturopath, and then when you told the naturopath that you were going to go and search out some raw milk, the naturopath was freaking out about the raw milk because that naturopath has been propagandized as well, that raw milk will kill you.
Yeah.
You know, you tell a lie big enough, long enough, and often enough, then people will tend to believe the lie. And once people
fear
believe,
induce the fear, and people are very easy to control when they're fearful.
Well, I looked up some psychology, and I call it just Psych 101, but what it basically says is that once a mind has accepted a lie as truth, it is very difficult for the mind to throw out the lie which they've accepted for the truth and actually accept the truth. It's very difficult for the mind to do that. They'll fight you on it. And that's exactly what they've done. They've got people so convinced that what the government is doing is right and everything else is wrong, even though it's a complete and total lie. It's very difficult. The people actually hug the lie. They end up hugging the lie.
Yeah.
Because that's what they believe to be the truth. Even though you can prove it over and over and over again, it's an outright lie, they've accepted it. And for them to throw that lie out and accept the actual truth is extremely difficult for the average mind to do. So that's why it's so hard, when they come out and say, when they come out and said raw milk is dangerous, and people, people should have said, what are you, stupid? And they said, well, no, science says, right? And the science is the new priest. My mother, I was telling her about Michael, and my mother goes, I don't get this with the raw milk. We all grew up on raw milk. But she was telling me, my uncle, her brother-in-law, who ran a farm almost identical to Michael's, said how upset he was when they brought the first regulations in on milk, right?
Yeah.
And that was 60 years ago.
70.
Well, he was in Quebec, and so it was, I think, 60, 65 years ago. But you could still remember how upset my uncle was when the government came in and said, you can't do this and you can't do that. And this is how you have to do your milk now. And he'd been milking his whole life. And he's going, who are you to tell us what to do? Right? And unfortunately, we are too submissive. We submit too easily. And this is where we end up at. So I guess my question to you, Michael, is what do you see in here on the 29th and 30th? I think that's what I'm really interested in.
Well, it depends. It all depends on the judge. If the judge, will go for it, even he has read probably 10% of the material, then you can pretty well count on that. The ruling will be negative. I'm not a pessimist, but I'm a realist in regard to what the courts will do. They will blindly follow the instructions of the government lawyers and issue an injunction, and then basically what happens is it gets turned back to the people. Are the people willing to stand up? Are the people willing to make, put the effort in to bombard now, legislate, the MPPs and MPs in regards to this issue? Or if people back off and say, well, it's nothing we can do. And then, it really depends on that. But they certainly then have, and that is part of this, what people need to understand, that if they get their injunction, then we have the problem that they're asking for costs of 2 years of legal work they did on this case, the government people, okay? So they basically then want to bankrupt us so that we cannot even appeal or have money to appeal anything, and that is part of this whole strategy. They're not going through the the offenses court. They're going to the injunctive proceedings, which is a civil court, where the person who loses has to pay.
Right.
And even when the other side initiated the proceedings, so they're not only bleeding us to death. They're basically bombard us with these proceedings so that we can get incapacitated financially because of that. And and how to manage that, we're not quite sure yet how what the next level will be. But it only can work really is that people rise up. They rise up,
Well,
what are they going to do?
What I was saying when you were off air to Ira is that what people have to understand is that this 20-plus year persecution of you and your family is all paid for by the public. And so every man and woman who pays taxes in this province is directly involved in this persecution because you're funding it. Okay? Yep. And you need to understand that. It's not the government that's persecuting this man. It's the people of this province, because the only money in this province comes from the people of this province. The government doesn't have any money. And so you are part of the persecution of these honest, good people, and therefore you're responsible as well. Therefore, you have a stake in this, and you need to step up to the plate and say we don't agree with this. We're not paying for this, and it has to stop. So you need to get up and put your morals out front, folks. And understand that it's not the government versus Michael, because they're using your money to go after Michael, who has harmed absolutely no one ever, and they've been harmed for 20-some years. And the funny part about the way this corporate governmental system works is that it's against the law to cause harm. And Michael has caused no one at any time any harm, even though him, his family, his cow shareholders, his farm shareholders, the cooperative, have been beaten on constantly for 20-plus years. So who's causing the harm here? Is it Michael? Absolutely not. Is it anybody involved with Michael? Absolutely not. So the innocent party is the one that is to make look like they're the harm-causing entity, when in fact it's the government that has caused all the harm. It's really a vicious, stupid cycle that has to be broken somehow. But if they put the injunction in against you, Michael, then what, an appeal?
Well, then it becomes, what do you call it, a constitutional argument. And then that's, again, there's, you're looking at costs, to go up there to bring forward a constitutional argument, and I'm continue to argue, the money wasted on this whole case, instead of sitting down, in a civil manner and try to resolve that out of court, would be a much more cost-effective way, but it doesn't help us because it will not destroy us. They want to destroy us. That's bottom line.
They've never offered mediation in this right.
Never ever. That was
right, because
never,
because I don't know if you can bring the reasonable man idea forward, which is what law is supposed to be based on, and the idea is that if there's a conflict or a disagreement, that the reasonable men will sit down and come to some sort of an agreement that is beneficial to both parties. That's basically how that's supposed to work with reasonable men. And I know the government, there's nothing they fear more than a reasonable man. And you've tried to be a reasonable man all these years. Anybody that's even looked at you briefly knows that everything you've done is coming from the standpoint of a reasonable man. But they don't want to hear about that, do they?
No, they don't. They avoid any kind of dialogue. Okay.
But do they not, I would think somewhere in the paperwork somewhere, there has to be, that they have to, go into dialogue. But the plan is just to crush everybody, right?
Yeah. No dialogue is better.
Well, they don't want to talk because they know they can't win if they talk. Right? They sat down at a table and went through all the real scientific evidence and the history and everything else that's attached to it. They got a leg to stand on.
Yeah.
So they just throw all their weight. Aren't you proud to live in Ontario, people? And it's important that you people get out there on the 29th and the 30th, because this is just a simple little thing of some milk, but it shows you just how bad this government is, or this whole governmental system is, that will run roughshod over its own people. And we're not their own people. We're not the corporate people. If you stand in their way, they'll bulldoze you. And that's not something to be proud of. That means that you don't have any rights. If you don't have a right to go and decide what you're going to eat, then you have no rights anywhere. I mean, what is a more important right than what you eat? And if they can take that away from you, then they can take everything away from you.
Yeah, so remember that also the people who are shareholders of Paul and Kathy. Paul, are you still there?
I'm still here.
And you bask in silence here, but I just want to stress the point that Paul is one of, he was the first one who came to me and said, I want to do that, and then he converted his farm, and really in a way where when you go in the barn, you feel like coming home. That is how it's supposed to be. And, he started up his cow share and has done so much for this whole movement. And I'm glad that didn't touch him. But this is because he's part of the old fabric of Canada, that if they would touch him, there would be probably more protests than if they shut me down, because I'm just an immigrant and I'm not counting really. Yeah. So Paul is standing there, but Paul is also, very vulnerable. Paul and Kathy both are directly affected by what's coming down the pipe from the government. Okay. So and I know if they don't get the support, they will be gone, we will be gone, and the rest of the farmers will be also gone. Okay. So in a way,
and raw milk will be gone.
And raw milk will be gone. It will be a final showdown, and it will be clear that then government has complete control. And then they will reign through fear. Then they will pick out individual and make just an example of them. I mean, unfortunately for them, that I didn't back down, but a lot of people, would have given in the 23 years. I mean, we lost so much, and being constantly under that threat of prosecution, it's not an easy life. And I'd rather farm than being in the courthouse. But that's the price you pay for freedom. So,
and when anybody that's ever been to your farm, all you got to do is look around, and it puts a smile on your face. I mean, this is a natural habitat for the animals. It's amazing. I swore I saw a chicken smile when I was over there last time, running around loose in the field. This is Everyone should be forced to go to Michael or Paul or farm similar to those, and then have to immediately be taken to a factory farm and say, where do you want to get your food from?
Well, this is actually what should be done. I mean, that was discussed, and Paul, that I thought is a good idea, that, in the court proceedings, the farm should be an exhibit, and the judge should be forced to look at that exhibit by coming to the farm,
Yes, I think so.
So
if the judge came to the farm, I think that would be the end of it.
Yeah.
Because no man could go to the farm and say, this is dangerous. They'd say, all the judge could say, this is a beautiful place. Look at how pleasant the animals are. Look at how calm they are. Look how well fed they are. Look at how well they're looked after. How could this possibly be a problem? Oh, right. Excuse me, I almost slipped there. Milk Marketing Board doesn't like competition. Right, okay, I got it.
Yeah.
I know I've talked to farmers who are in the Milk Marketing Board system who would just as soon get the hell out of it. But they're trapped. They're indebted. This is how you control people. Most of these factory farms are in debt up to their eyeballs.
Listen, guys, I need to say goodbye. I need to go back to my legal papers,
Okay.
which I have to submit tomorrow. So we'll connect at the courthouse, May 29th, 30th, Newmarket. We'll see you all there.
Okay, thank you very much, Michael. Get your paperwork done, and we'll go there on the 29th, 30th, and win.
Exactly.
Okay. Take care.
You so much.
All right. Okay. Now, that was Michael. Now, Paul. Are you still there, Paul?
I'm still here.
Okay. What's your take on all of this?
Oh, I think that we're at a crossroads here. If the people, and I don't know how we get them to understand this because they're complacent. But if they don't stand up, they will lose their opportunity to get raw milk. But they're going to lose far more than that because it's only down the road until they have to eat whatever fare is put in front of them in the store, and they will have no say. There will come a day they will not be allowed to go to the farm. That's my take on it.
Well, I know they're trying to drive everybody into the cities. They don't want people to have any idea about where food even comes from. They don't want them out in the countryside at all. They want everybody jammed in the cities. They're telling people now that they don't even need farms because we can farm in the city.
We can produce meat in a pewter dish, and we can do all of these things. You can take radiation of our Hamburg now. It's 40 years ago that a lady I knew did her PhD on radiating a meat, and the big problem was the public wasn't ready for it. But now, with all of the Hamburg recalls and everything else, the public is now saying, oh, it's a good thing. And so then they'll be eating completely dead meat.
Yeah, all your food will be dead.
Yeah, and if the food is dead, what happens to you?
Well, you're not going to live long.
You're
right?
dead. Yes.
Yeah. So, like, I'm really, really hopeful that we end up blocking the entire thoroughfare down in Newmarket with so many people they can't contain them. That's what I'm hopeful for. Whether it happens or not, I don't know. But it's so very important. Like, I had a terrible dream last night that if this goes wrong, then they were going to just come, and anybody that did anything organic, they were just going to close them down and just write some haywire fine, like $100,000. There's your fine, $100,000. Deal with it. and say there that was good. And we can't allow that to happen. I mean, my old grandparents and uncles and that be rolling in their graves it's just to see what's going on now. I mean, they were all farmers, and you're when you told me the story about cleansing the land and getting it back to a place where you could actually grow nutritious food, that would be completely foreign to my grandfathers in that, because if they came to your farm now, after all the work you did to cleanse the land and that, they would look at your farm as their farm.
Yes, I have to agree with that. But we're fast losing the ability or the knowledge to really farm. There's few people, there's the organic people are reaching in that direction, but I don't think that they understand how our forefathers farmed, and that they were always trying to improve the land and leave it better than they found it. And you got to understand, they took it out of bush. It was God was looking after it before they had it.
Exactly, and yeah, I mean, they, like you said, they were always trying to improve the land. They weren't shoving chemicals into the land. They weren't shoving needles into the cows to produce more milk. They were trying to do a better job of looking after what was given them to produce what they could produce, not pushing it to produce more than it can produce. When I look at the udders on Michael's cows and I look at the udders in the commercial barns, it's grotesque. It's absolutely grotesque what they've done to them animals.
Well, some of these commercial farmers now, the big thing is to have a cow that produces 100 liters a day. And that's a big thing. They get written up in the farm papers if they have that produced 100 liters in one day. That is a pile of milk.
Out of one cow.
She's probably not going to live out of one cow. She's probably not going to live too long, but hey, it was that prestige that cow produced 100 liters in one day.
But see, that's animal abuse. And I thought animal abuse was against the law.
Yes, yeah. But you see, that's these. But the cow, of course, in that situation, she's not given a choice as to what she eats. Every mouthful that she eats is formulated by the farmer, and she eats what put in front of her.
Yeah, and I've read some of the stuff they're feeding them, and it's disgusting, actually. It's not even cow feed. It's not something the cow would even eat.
Well, and that's why we're seeing problems in our dairy herds that my father and grandfather would never know about. One of the things
Isn't it similar to where our choices go? Sorry, I just said when you were talking about what cows eat, isn't it where our food choices are going? Where
yes, Ira, that is right.
Yeah,
that's really good, Ira, because that's exactly correct. They're just throwing this stuff in front of us, and we eat it just like the cattle do, and that's what we've been reduced to. We're not men and women anymore. We're just they've reduced us to the status of animal, and it goes back to the thing from Nestle when the CEO of Nestle, people were mad because somebody said water is a human right, and he said no, it's not. Well, a human by definition is an animal, and the animals only have the rights that are given to them. And they're abused constantly, and that's basically what they've turned us into, is cattle, and whatever stuff in our trough, or whatever they put on the shelves that we could put in our carts and take home and put in our troughs at home is they decide what we're going to eat. You go in a grocery store now, and it's a scary place. It's a really scary spot. When you look at the size of these grocery stores and the amount of actual edibles in it, it's scary. It really is. I mean, if you have flour and sugar and vegetables and milk and meat, you got everything you need. And from those items, you can make anything you want.
That's right.
You know, and I just look at the bread industry as well. I go in a grocery store. Weston's basically owns the bread industry. You know, they own it. You're basically buying their bread or nobody's bread in the grocery store. And when you go to look at the chicken or you know, even potatoes, Paul, maybe we only got a couple minutes later. We bought a new bag of potatoes, and my wife is a farm girl, and she always eats mashed potatoes or potatoes. And, you know, we got this fresh bag of potatoes, and we made some mashed potatoes 2 nights, and we were basically both feeling really off, stomach just kind of off. So we didn't eat these potatoes last night, and we felt a lot better. So I can't even trust a potato out of the store anymore.
Well, just check the potatoes. Have they got any eyes on them that are sprouting? They probably were radiated. The potatoes in this country can be radiated, and they don't have to put any labeling on that bag. So that's likely what it is. They were radiated. They're dead potatoes.
They're radiating potatoes?
Absolutely.
Now, see, I didn't know that.
Plant some and see if they grow. Plant them and see if they grow. They won't grow.
I don't think
anything. The sprouts don't grow on them. They keep forever on the shelf.
Yeah, these things have no eyes in them or nothing, right? You know,
they've been
there's
radiated.
Nothing there. I didn't know they did that to potatoes.
They're doing it to quite a number of things that we don't know about.
So
I recently read an article with an interview with a PEI farmer, a potato producer, who was telling the interviewer that he would never eat the potatoes that they produce commercially. For his own family, they have a separate plot, and they grow potatoes on a separate plot organically for their family. But the rest, he said, I wouldn't touch it. And that's scary.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's scary when the producer says that. When the producer is saying himself that he wouldn't touch it, it can't be good.
Listen, I got to go plant. I got to find some seed potatoes now. My wife loves her potatoes, and they're starting to irritate, and so now I guess I know why, because they're not potatoes. They look like potatoes, but they're not potatoes. The pasteurized milk looks like milk, but it's not milk. The carrot is supposed to be nutritious, but it's not. We got a problem, folks, and it's not just about raw milk. It's our food in general. It's our entire. I mean, what keeps you alive and healthy is your food. And if a farmer who grows commercial potatoes has to make his own plot for his family's potatoes because he won't eat the commercial potatoes, then I think we all need to get to Newmarket, because when you go to Newmarket to stand for Michael and the milk farmers, you're standing for your future food. And if you don't have the freedom of food, and if you don't have good food, you ain't in for a good life. It's that simple. Damn, I wish I didn't know that about potatoes.
You see, now you can't go back.
No, I can't go back. Okay, so it's May the 29th and 30th. Please, everybody that possibly can, get to Newmarket. It's right beside Toronto, so it shouldn't be too difficult for people to get to. And get there. Okay, this is about your future. Thank you, Kira, Paul, Michael.
Thank you.
Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower classes, social slime, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. Caesar shit, force of air. Fuck them back, it's only for they bomb. They shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape, they burn the kids. No one makes countries lie to your face, fight and die. Cause God forgives.
WJAM from Against the Wall, and you're listening